fry, yay, right?
Woo-hoo!
Yeah. We do have in the hot seat this morning, and we don't. He's such a busy man; it's hard to get time with him. We do have our own City of Salem Mayor Justin Green, and everything's coming up beautiful green with all this rain, right? Good morning,
Well,
Mayor.
what a transition. Yes, good morning. Good morning.
Yeah, and go green,
Go
right?
green.
But
It is.
Love that.
It
I
is.
think I saw that around campaign time, right?
there's greens, there's purples, there's yellows
That's
out
true.
there.
Oh, beautiful. Yeah,
Mhm.
for sure.
Loving the
Well,
colors coming out.
I know we're talking some flooding. We're going to talk about that, some flooding in our area. So please, everyone, be careful. Remember how to behave whenever you come up on a big body of water. Don't try to go through. Go a different route. Go around. And even, you sometimes you'll think, oh, I can do it. Don't do it.
And the barricades are up for a reason.
That's exactly right.
Mhm.
Yes, yes. So please do not ignore them. And we've gone and I've seen too many calls, and I know you guys have too, where people have, have drifted away in the water. So let's not do that. So please be careful out there. And
Mhm.
hopefully everybody's basement's staying tight and dry, right?
That's right. That's right.
All right, let's thank our sponsors, Holly.
We'd like to thank Meadowview Healthcare, Walmart, Salem Crossing, Americans for Prosperity, Mama Rosa's, Fox Pearly Wealth Management, Dr. Black's Eye Associates, Dr. Mindy Gunn, Marshall Monuments, McAllister Lane Consulting, First Harrison Bank, Louisville Bats, and Schneck Hospital.
Yay!
Thank you to our sponsors.
And speaking of Louisville Bats, coming up for Thunder over Louisville, if you want a good seat, Thunder over Louisville with all this rain and flooding we're getting, it's probably going to be, the waterway might be a little flooded.
Mm.
So this would be a good seat. It's not going to be you're going to have a dry seat.
No guarantee.
Yeah. Yeah. We can only do what we can do. No guarantee. But anyway, they still have some seats available to sit you can go to the game and then sit and watch Thunder over Louisville. Talk about a night. What a fun night. Yeah. Baseball and Thunder, and how fun is that?
Mm-hmm.
So anyway, good time. So contact the Louisville Bats, get your tickets for some great seats to watch Thunder of Louisville. So they really want me to hit that because I want people to take advantage. I don't want people to, oh, I didn't know about it, or, oh, I missed the opportunity. So, all right, let's jump in. Speaking of that, let's go back. Was it two nights ago? We had a bad storm, horrible storm.
Oh, yeah.
We've not been confirmed whether it was a tornado or a strong winds. Have we? I don't think that's been.
Don't believe so.
Yeah, and that's the officials that
Correct.
determine that. We can kind of think and make our
watch and
Yeah.
see the path.
Yeah.
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 Not official.
Right. But it's amazing. Strong winds are almost worse sometimes than a tornado.
Mhm.
When you're talking weather,
That can
So-
be. That's right.
So let's talk about so the huge tree down right there on Main Street. Man, they were booking it. They were right at it,
Yeah.
getting that taken care of and cleaned
and
up.
to your point, that seems to be the path, and I say that loosely, when we, through the city and the street department and our cleaning efforts and looking where the damage was, it does seem to be more concentrated on the north side of the city.
Mm-hmm.
And it did seem to kind of go over that Windy Heights area, North Main, and travel a direction to the east. But yeah, large tree there. Quite a bit of manpower to get the street open on North Main, but they did, and now as of yesterday, the limb was removed.
Yeah,
and got it cleaned up and out of there. But just getting the street open was a little bit of a project in and of itself.
But they did. I was there, and they did a fantastic
Yes.
job with the chainsaws, getting it all ready, and then they had the big bucket.
The backhoe.
Backhoe, what's that thing called? Yeah.
Yeah, just give it a big shove and got it out of the street.
Yeah, they were fantastic, and which kept that open because that is open for emergencies if there should be, or or just people
Right.
needing to get back and forth. But yeah, I got to give them praise and a big shout out because it was pouring down rain, and they were working. They were really working hard, and they did a great job on that. Yeah. And of course, talk about the city police too. They were all around. They were there blocking the roads, making sure that that everything that everybody knew not to come down that way. And then of course they were out. I've seen a lot of them out. Just making sure everybody was okay and checking in on people. I think we all stayed up all night almost.
Yeah.
Oh,
I think everybody did.
It was a long night.
Yeah. But I think it's a blessing to know that how our community, everybody's like making sure that everybody's okay, and all hands on on the deck. Yeah.
And thank thankful for that safe room that I think they had like, what, 100 people in there?
Over 120.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's great.
Wasn't that a blessing?
That's
Yeah.
great.
Yeah. I went over there and talked with Kent Payne, and when he said that, yeah, it almost brings tears to your eyes because, what a great, facility, and what a blessing that we can open that up,
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely.
and for people. So they were very generous with that. But that's what public schools do,
And thank you to the staff and getting that
everybody getting it.
already.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And it also, I mean, I know that the main thing is to stay safe. Sorry, it's been a crazy week. Stay safe, but it's also, where they're coming in a facility and they're getting to see a middle school, maybe, the STEAM room. We use it, which is a blessing because we use it actually for education. It's such a blessing that you can do that, but also then by day it's a STEAM room, by night it's like Batman. By night it becomes a safe room, right? Or it's safe room the whole time. Yeah, so that's it's cool that it can be a double use there.
Dual purpose. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's right.
Yeah. So anyway, so so hats off to that. Was there any other damage? I know there were some trees that were
trees scattered throughout the city, so we're going to have a lot of debris again to address, and that's again with those type of winds and our aging trees, that is part and parcel. That happens. So nothing really of a surprise. Had some electrical issues yesterday morning that I do believe by midday we're all satisfied here in the city. I'm not sure outside the city they were all fixed, but I think everything within the city was fixed.
Yeah, there was a lot with electricity, and and getting that back. Hats off to them too. Those workers, man. Talk about climbing those poles, doing what they're doing, and so hats off to all of them. But hopefully then now we come into the flooding, which is, you kind of got to switch gears now, because I know a lot of times we have some, areas that do have always, no matter what, going to get a little bit of, and you can't help it when you're getting this much rain.
No, and that's kind of a misnomer in by design. And I say that as the definition of a low water bridge. By design, a low water bridge does become problematic. They just catch debris on a good day, and so as some of the logs or larger limbs do break loose off a shoreline and do float downstream, they get wedged, they get hung, and so low water bridges will always be a problem. That's just the nature of it. However, this rain event and days prior was a little bit spaced out, and so we didn't have a torrential short amount of time downpour, in other words, so it helped that flow, and so no, we didn't experience anything unusual. In other words, we did have a couple of the High Street Bridge and the Walnut Street Bridge that we have to monitor all the time,
right?
But that's the design of those two, and to keep the streets closed if it does go over. But anyway, otherwise, looking to the forecast and to the next few days in these rain events, we're pretty confident that everything's going to flow right and go down. Those rains look to be again staggered and not too concentrated in a short amount of time. So one thing that we're still I guess hanging our hat on and waiting for that large rain event, and I say that with a little bit of disconnect. I don't know that we ever want big rains, but we would like to see how the channel does affect after the opening of those emergency flood channels into the old quarry.
Oh,
and that's something that has really not been tested yet, and that was part of some federal mediation. And so Salem, we were very disrupted and in a mess. Let's just touch on something that was bad in 2017. We were in a mess after that flood, and so these emergency channels are to negate that. That is by design. That is what was engineered. That was what was part of that federal mediation that to rectify some of that backup and backlog downstream, or pardon me, upstream from Salem even. So the way the hydrology works, those channels are then
Yeah, go
want
into
to-
detail. Explain
and
what are we?
you bet, ladies. It's a little complicated, but yet it's not. And without
Try
seeing
us,
it,
Mayor.
I'll
Let's
try.
go in. Yeah,
I'll
try us. Let's see what we
I'll
got.
try to paint the picture.
Okay.
I'm not quite Bob Ross, but I'll try to
Okay.
paint the picture. And so anyway, these channels work as overflow. And so just like a big punch bowl, these channels were designed to take the rising current, the rising flow, the capacity, if you will, upstream and dump that water into the old quarry pit. And so very cool, if that's the word I want to use. Science is there. It's supposed to act just as a diversion. It will divert that water, and so it won't reach within the city, and it won't affect downstream either. And so like a retention pond in that theory, so it will hold it and then naturally slowly release it as time goes, or it will sit there and just naturally evaporate. And that's just how large that pit is. So no, we've not really had a rain occurrence to see how much that fills up or diverts water, but it's there. It is there.
Yeah.
And so a lot of money. Gosh, I couldn't tell you, but I would say millions of dollars. Just looking at the equipment when that was going on, and the efforts that they did to blast. I mean, they blasted. Goodness, it's probably 30 some feet deep, maybe deeper, and solid rock. So a lot of time, a lot of effort. A lot of folks said, "Well, I didn't think we were blasting rock at the quarry anymore." And well, we're not. It's not for road use. It's for a different project. So it was heard quite a bit when it was being done. But that's, gosh, it's been completed now. I guess a year, 18 months. Time gets away from us. But anyway, so we do have some protection. I don't want to use the term fingers crossed, but yes, fingers crossed. That's supposed to alleviate huge amounts of water that will come back into downtown. And so time will tell. And as we were told, the 2017 event was a benchmark of a 500-year flood. It was not the 100-year, it was a 500-year. So will we ever experience that again? Goodness, who knows? Let's hope not. But anyways, we do have some protection. We do have some avenues of getting that water away from us. So let's hope it works.
I love this. I guess maybe I'd heard you talk about it, but I guess I didn't really.
Well, and it's kind of one of those out of sight, out of minds, because you can't see it.
Yeah.
And you're right. It's been a minute. That construction's been done for a while, but until we have rain in the forecast of 8 and 10 inches, we don't think about it.
Right.
And so, to your point, you're right. We just don't think about it, but it's there. And
well, that's a blessing. Yeah.
It's nice.
Yeah, I think after the major flooding, it was 2017. Yeah,
right.
That was the craziest visual. I mean, wasn't it visually over. Just seeing roads and streets just completely just covered?
And it was I guess this is cliche, but kind of the perfect storm. We had such saturated ground before that event. We had a several day rain event, and so we had nowhere for the water to go, and it was so compounded by the short amount of time, and it just a bad event. We all know that. Gosh, don't want to rehash history, but
I think it's awesome that we have that. We had it, and then what can we do about it? And so the measures have been made, and I don't know that we need to make sure that everyone understands that that has been done.
It has been done, and so now. I didn't design it. It doesn't belong to the city of Salem. So, I do have all the faith that the powers that be. It's correct, but I'd sure like to see it in functionality. Does it really do, and will it accept large amounts of water? But gosh, by looking at it, it sure should.
Well, and you got to try stuff. You got to try something. It's better than like just sitting there, this not letting this happen again, or or at least making it a lot less. Yeah.
And that's the thing. And I thank you for bringing that back around, because we will still have, to your point earlier, we will still have minor flooding issues. That goodness,
everybody has that. That's just part of it.
It won't go away. But as far as devastation, and destruction,
houses and boats going down our streets. Come on.
And so and we're unique with the amount of streams and creeks that all come together where our geographic location is. We just have a lot of water to deal with,
Mhm.
and so when you take all those converging, hey, it's got to go somewhere, and,
Mhm.
and we are obviously reminded of that.
We talk about that a lot. Yeah, I mean, I know I'm kind of going squirrel over here to the side, but how many waterways, ponds, creeks, all the different waters that we have here in our community.
Mhm.
And I know, like we talk about at the Salem Middle School, we have the pool so that everyone can learn to swim. And and a lot of people say, oh, why is that so important? Because our forefathers are the ones that put it in. We
Mhm.
didn't, the board, we're
Sure.
very happy to maintain it and keep it up. But was because we do have so many waterways in this community, in our county.
Absolutely, and that's one of those things. It furthers that visual when you're up in a plane,
Mhm.
low flying plane.
Yeah.
I had the privilege of doing that a few years back, and Becky, you're right. You wouldn't believe the amount of ponds, large ponds even,
Yeah.
that are throughout our county. It's just it's fascinating when you're up
Mhm.
looking down.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So yeah, I mean, I know that I kind of went off, but I think that's such a blessing that that making sure everyone can swim. I just think that's just
Mhm.
something that should be shouted all the time, because it is good, because we do have so many waterways. We are like in a double landlocked state, but we have a lot of water here
Yeah.
in
Mhm.
Indiana.
Mhm.
So
Sure do.
so when you're wandering Indiana.
One.
Okay. All right. Back now back. But well, so we're excited to see, and hopefully so that time will tell.
Time will tell.
That's right.
And it's a permanent structure, and that's the beauty of it. It's not going anywhere. That is there.
And it was a grant. It didn't cost.
No, it was part of a federal mediation. So
Federal
that was I guess for practical purposes, it was part of a lawsuit that
Okay,
come
that's
about,
right. Yeah.
and
yeah.
there was a lot of finger pointing at why did the water back up so much, and so that was the decision through a court, and said, well, okay, well, let's cut you some channels, and company X is going to pay for it. And
Mhm.
so
That's a blessing. Yeah.
It did.
Yeah.
It really is, and so there's it's got to go somewhere.
Mhm.
That was the basics behind, well, then what's the resolve? Well, let's cut these channels, these
Mhm.
diversion channels, and that's what happened.
Mhm. Yeah, love that. Well, I'm glad to know that and happy to know that. But like you're saying, just like Holly and I driving around, we're not going to see it.
No.
So it's good.
Exactly.
But we'll know it whenever we start seeing less water
Well,
on maybe.
that's exactly right. Yeah. And it does its job, and then we shouldn't see it.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, that's good.
Mhm.
I like that. That's wonderful. So I'm so glad you brought us up to a date on that. I'd forgotten or something.
Well, and you're right. And I say 18 months. Goodness, ladies, it may have been 2 years ago since that's been completed. But
I didn't even know we had them, so that's really good
Yeah.
to know.
Yeah, it's been a minute. Yeah.
All right. So anything? See here, we got some. Let's talk about our construction. We got something really good that we're gonna talk about.
Sure.
But let's talk about our construction coming up. We got some new lines coming in, or
new infrastructure, or
yeah.
continuation of
Yeah.
new infrastructure, I should
Yeah.
say it that way. You bet. And so gosh, this is April, isn't it? They're in the month of February, I believe it was. My days run together. I'm sure yours do too. I believe it was February. We got the final nod at the city. I had been, I guess, a pest. Sometimes I am. I'd been really in contact with NDOT, my folks that I deal with quite a bit through the state of Indiana, and just really urging them to consider something to help the city and navigate our conflict with their new road down South Main. So let me back up, everybody. We did the road project from the stoplight 56 Main Street intersection to the south gate of the square. That streetscape project.
Yeah.
And so,
which they did a really good job. They worked like
goodness.
nights.
Yeah.
They were very, very kind to motorists. I felt.
Thank you. I do too. And so that was a city project. That was not, that was our request. That was our doing. And so, bringing that corridor into the square with I guess call it a facelift, but it's really, the curb, gutter, sidewalk, treescape. It was an all-inclusive project.
Mhm.
And so conceptually that needs to continue, and that's what I'm doing. And when we applied for the next round and the third round. So Becky, you've had me on different times, and I've went down that road of we've been so fortunate receiving grant dollars, and this is part of that project. So we received this road grant, and sometime back. This isn't necessarily news. It's just now it's time. The pecking order, if you will. Now it's time to start this leg, and so those projects are street only. So when you look at everything underneath, when you look at the infrastructure that our citizens, our residents use that navigate underground, well, I think we're foolish, and I mean that seriously. I think we're foolish if we're not proactive in replacing that as we go. Why would we want to spend or receive? Pardon me. Why would we want to receive millions of dollars in road assistance, beautifying our city, if we're leaving rotten, old, underused utilities?
And we discussed this when the main construction was going on, and it makes perfect sense. You're already there. You need to fix what's bad or what could potentially be, it needs to be fixed.
It needs to be fixed, Holly. Yeah. And so when we're looking at this, and Salem's no different than a lot of our neighbors. And so when we talk about aging infrastructure, that that's not exciting. It's not pretty. It's not ribbon cutting worthy. I understand that, goodness, but it's a necessity.
Yes.
It's a necessity. And when we're talking 50, 70, gosh, over 100-year-old pipes that connect, that we all rely on to some point, gosh, let's not put new, nice, pretty landscape paving sidewalks over top of that.
Right.
And so, okay, so there's the concept. And so the first leg, the first phase, if you will, Clerk Treasurer and I were fortunate enough to have some grant dollars in hand that were specific use for infrastructure. So we did the water line ourselves with those grant dollars before the road was done on phase one last time. Well,
Fantastic.
Those grant dollars only go so far, and so that only covered that leg. So this time, Clerk Treasurer and I, Sally Hadbo and I, were really head scratching and trying to figure out how we're going to do this, because it is wrong of us. It's wrong as me as mayor not to address that. There's just too much there. Why let that lie, a 50, 70-year-old pipe, and then 2 weeks from now, 3 weeks from now, 2 months from now, have a major leak or a rupture, and we've got to cut in through that and saw cut and rip up that new pavement and sidewalk, and oh gosh, it's counterintuitive, but not only that, it's just not appropriate. We need to be proactive in maintaining and upgrading, and I live by that. And I Becky, I think you've heard me say it many times.
Absolutely.
We should be upgrading our infrastructure.
Absolutely.
So with my pestering, being a little bit of a pest, NDOT has agreed to help us and understand that water line is in conflict with the road bed and the grant that we've received to do that new phase 2. So from the south gate of the square, what I aptly call the south gate. So from leaving the crosswalk at the south end of the square, going due south to the Blue River Bridge.
Okay.
That's what we call phase 2.
Yeah.
And so, yes, the signs went up yesterday, day before, the sign company, allowing motors to see you're entering a work zone. And so those signs did go up yesterday and day before. And so that's what we're getting ready to start. Weather permitting, that we'll start having some equipment dispersed to that location. And so it will be a water line and service line all replaced in that corridor. And so that does take a few orange barrels. It does take a few lane diversions. And so I know people are already, oh, goodness. No, we're not closing the road. Gosh, I was very adamant, you can still navigate Main Street. And just as important, you can still access all your businesses and locations up and down. Yes, you may have to park a little one block over, or there may be some interruptions, but everything will still be there. And I don't want anybody to think we're cutting them off or stopping. No, there will be some lane diversions. There'll be some flaggers. All will be marked, but if there's a section that has to do both lanes at once, yes, goodness, they might do a 2-hour window where, hey, you got to use High Street. I won't say 100% of the time, but by and large, no, the road will stay open.
So there'll be some minor inconveniences for travel, but not near the inconvenience of a water line going down and you not having water to your house and having to repair that. Is the way I look at it.
Yeah.
Couldn't have said it better. That's right. And so
drop the mic. Holly.
This is I'll have you write that down. I want to read that. So to your point, Holly, and that's a great upgrade, and that's another line that when we do have repairs, you're right. When we saw cut those lines and get the clean pipe to put back in and repair those, the amount of reduction, those pipes are just so old and calcified and just it's amazing. You think, how did this work all these years? And and it's a testament. We've been lucky, we've been fortunate, but they need replaced. They need replaced. And so it's just time.
How old do you think they would be, some of them?
We are satisfied 70 is the short number. I think there are some that are probably 75 and 80 in that corridor.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
But
70 without a doubt.
Now,
and
look in the past 80 years, what has changed as far as the construction of those pipes
and the material that
they're made out of, right?
And it goes both ways. You're right, and it's a testament to that manufacturing process.
Oh, yes.
That's great. They were, but it's also the same concept. We don't get 70 years out of our refrigerators. If you do, you're one of the few, and that's great. Hey, that's wonderful. But everything has a mechanical function, and quite frankly, it does have a shelf life. And so, when you talk about 90-degree elbows and laying on a rock bed, I mean, it's just it can't last forever.
Right.
So it's time, and that's not a lengthy project. Plus or minus. Again, this is weather permitting. If we have a fair weather season, if you will, 120 days should catch start to finish. I'm going to say it's probably 180, but 120 days should catch this, and so that'll be all new, all upgraded, tied in, and then that will be done. There's some very small amount of wastewater, sewer relocates. By and large, that part's okay. It was the water issue with the new lines, not so much the wastewater in this segment. So that's a minor part. So there'll be some manholes relocated. There might be a couple service hookups changed, but that's very, very ancillary to moving that water line and getting it out of their conflict and getting that changed. So that is moving forward. And so
I'm happy to have some, to have that, the maintenance, having it done, and I know everybody, we talk about that, but really you think about, Mayor, and you go back, you've really had some projects that have really been kicking it, and that's good. These are projects, this is water stuff, these are new lines and going into that, and when they open that up, they don't know what they're going to see. They're gonna have to do the best they can do, and hopefully, like you said, time wise, you're working against, but you never know. Just like anybody with a project, when you open it up, you just don't know what you're going to find. And
I appreciate your consistency and your pressure and you being a little, go get them. I appreciate that because I've seen a lot of progress with the infrastructure in this city that is greatly appreciated. So definitely. I thank you very much for that.
I appreciate it.
Well, and it's true because you've been kicking it. We've had a lot of new water lines, and that's something that, and just like you're talking about when you talk to NDOT, they are, to me, they are fabulous because they listen. Wow. But you do have to kind of, talk a lot
and to them. I should pause there. You're right.
But
City of Salem and NDOT have a very good working relationship.
they're very good to
And-
us.
And
They are.
they have understood our needs.
Hmm.
We have checked the boxes and satisfied their requirements. I do believe, and we've had a very good relationship.
Yep.
And I owe them a gratitude of thanks. And you know, I've said this before. A lot of these dollars could go to other communities.
That's what I say all the time.
And you know, and hey, just like everything else in today's world, with the prices increasing, the price of asphalt's no different. And so to pave a road, you know, and so we get these opportunities to pave roads on another budget, not a city budget, but somebody else's budget. Gosh, we've got to take advantage of it.
Oh, absolutely. Oh, and it's such a blessing when they're, you know, when they're wanting to give us some money for our community and upgrade our community. It only makes it better, and it's only doing great things for the community. But I was going to say those little orange barrels that we're talking about, those would be our spring flowers.
Well, you know,
Those are our spring flowers, you know.
But you know, when you want a community to continue growing and you want businesses to continue coming in, like, these repairs need to happen too.
Water is
You know?
important,
Yes,
absolutely. You know, it
yes,
probably,
yes,
you know,
yes, yes.
it'd be one of your top 5, right? Wouldn't it
Right.
be?
Yeah.
And so
At
anyway, it is certainly important. And so yeah, we're navigating that, and there's more dollars coming, more projects coming. And but that is what.
So
you'll
this is
see.
our next phase.
So and then right with that, it's almost a tandem timed. Our next community crossing matching grant, CCMG, community crossing matching grant. Again, that's an NDOT issued grant. City of Salem's been very fortunate on those, in getting those awarded virtually every cycle. And so our next project is from Main Street to Water Street on Poplar. And so that one block segment that goes east and west, Main to Poplar, that is again, street, curb and gutter, but also addresses drainage. And that, because that hillside, there is a lot of water that comes down that has to be addressed. And so there's some collapsed drain pipes in that section. There's some different directions that we need to send flow. Some of it needs to stay in the curb. Some of it needs to go underground. So there's a lot there to clean up. And so that's the next community crossing matching grant location. And so that will happen this summer also.
Great.
Yeah. Well, that's awesome. And we'll keep reminding people about that. We'll take baby steps, and, you know, but this is all doable, and it's not that. And like you said, and what I do want to point out too, is when you do talk with them, Mayor, you do try to emphasize that, please, let's try to keep, and I know, because I remember last time you told them it was important for us to keep traffic flowing through, keep it going, you know what I mean, so that we don't have it, and keep it as easy for our drivers, for our citizens, or those passing through, to keep it pretty, you know, to always keep it moving and moving. And they do a great job, and I'm happy that you always emphasize that, you know what I mean, on that, which is very, very much so. And I just want people to know that you not only, when you're negotiating and talking about these projects, which behind the scenes takes a lot of work, and I want people to understand, you know, we don't always see what Mayor does every day, but there's a lot of paperwork, there's a lot of communication with them, and you work well with them. And one of your top priorities is, because I've talked to them several times, is to make sure that they keep a good flow, so that people don't have that backed up sitting in line for I'm sorry, most liked by the cat loves you. Okay. Sorry,
we had business to take care of. Sorry.
Sorry. Thank you, Holly. Okay, so let's go back. Okay, so all right, so we got that coming up, and when that project's gonna kick off, is it?
Well,
signs are up.
Signs are up. They've got notice to proceed. The contractors and workers. So by chance, you'll see some equipment within that section of blocks next week.
Okay.
10 days. Very likely, yes.
All right, okay. Good to know that. And so, and there's other streets you can navigate on, and actually, you know, get to see some other beautiful homes in our community.
There are some nice homes in
Beautiful
our community
homes, absolutely.
you don't get to see all the time.
Yeah, usually a lot of times, like, you just always do the point A to point B, you know, path.
Yeah.
And then when you take the detour, you know, it's kind of
Mhm.
nice to see some homes that you
It
don't
is.
always see, you know.
Mhm.
So yeah. All right, let's jump in now with the was there anything else that we have that need to be discussed? Because I want to get to the dandy.
The dandy, well, sure.
The
dandy.
As the morning
Are we ready
moves,
for the dandy?
yeah,
Or
please let's go ahead and transition.
because time wise, yeah,
That'd be fine.
let's jump in. We got Lake Salinda. We're kicking it.
Oh my,
Super excited about that.
well,
Kicking it at
good.
Lake Salinda.
So there is a movement afoot, and so if anybody has not been out to the property for a while, you might not recognize some things. And so I guess it would be fair just to back up a little bit. There has been some activity out there for the last several years, and slow progress. Not everything moves lightning fast in government, as we all know. And hey, I'm not defending that or promoting it. It is sometimes things take a little longer, and this is one that not all grant dollars cover a project, and so trying to figure out, okay, do we phase some of those into 2 and 3 divisions and wait until we can figure out how to piggyback on something else or fast forward. And so Lake Salinda has been one of those projects that I certainly have been very passionate about. We need to convert that property. And what I mean by convert, we need to promote it. It is a great asset as far as family activities, as far as scenery, with a very short drive out of the city. It is a great asset to just go and relax, get some fresh air, take a break, you know, and just spend some time, you know, whether it's 10 minutes or an hour. That's certainly to each their own. And so why not promote that property? That property is owned by the city. We no longer use it and have not used it for a number of years as a drinking source. And a lot of people forget that, but that particular body of water has not produced and pumped water for almost 12 years now. You know, it's not a water source. And so but recreation is, you know, that just screams an opportunity out there. And so how do we navigate and what do we do? And a number of years ago, we started a project with a smaller grant to bring electric service throughout the property. And the concept in that 2020 grant was to get ready to start some primitive camping. And so, and I say start because there's more to what you need to have other than just an electrical pedestal for RV hookup. And there again, even in 2020, 2021, the prices of conduit and wiring, you know, you didn't buy a lot for $1 when it comes to electrical supply. So we knew we couldn't do everything with that grant opportunity, but we had a good start. And so trying to figure out, okay, we'll stage this, we'll phase it in, let's see how much we can get done. And so we did. We got the risers and the conduit put in pretty much the entire east-west section of the property going back towards the boat docks. And so we were a little bit in neutral then for a year, 18 months. And then we got another opportunity in the READY grant, Governor Holcomb's READY Point 1 grant that all of Indiana was a recipient of in those regions. And so our region, Lake Salinda, was one of my projects. And so we did submit for a larger project, but only got funded for a portion of it. And that's, again, kind of how those work. You don't always get your request. And so that grant, separate project, is and currently is constructing a new bathhouse. And so as you drive around, you get about to the third curve there past the first shelter house, you'll see a new building being constructed. And so that's a dual wing, men's and women bath, restroom, complete with showers and rest facilities. And so when that's finished, that is by the name, it is a bathhouse. And so very proud of that. Very nice addition that we'll be able to promote and let people say, okay, when we're ready, you know, this is option. You know, you've got facilities you can take advantage of. You can jump right in. And so that is on schedule. Gosh, this is April. That should be done by May. And so we'll be able to then. I'm not sure how exciting a ribbon cutting is for a restroom and bathhouse, but we're going to do it.
I agree, absolutely.
Well, if you're a camper, it's very exciting.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah, definitely.
And
So is this I thought there were already restrooms.
there is.
Okay,
And
so this is the second
but
set?
this has this has shower
in it.
capabilities.
But so
Yes.
we're going to, are we keeping the existing?
and keeping the existing as redundant.
Okay.
So yes, there'll be two options. If you're closer to the boat launch and that end of the property, and you just need the restroom facilities.
Right.
Yes, those will stay open. They'll still be there.
Okay,
just
awesome.
just like other parks that you go to, they have the restrooms and then they have the bathhouses. Can I ask how many like shower stalls and things like that in each?
There's 3 stalls in each.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
And any of them handicap accessible?
They are designed with that. And forgive me, I can't remember the exact. Is it 36-inch turn radius? I
Great.
think's how it works. But yes, so they are designed for that. Yes.
Love it.
Yeah.
That is so awesome. Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. That
Yeah.
is fantastic.
Yeah.
So, okay. So the bathhouses now, will they stay open or how will that be monitored?
Well,
That's kind of
and so there are some learning curves for us too.
oh, I agree.
And we're going to have to find that sweet spot, Becky.
Mhm.
I think we'll be able to keep these open the same time, the long duration that the current restroom is. So that
I
dead
hope
of
so.
winter, yes,
Yeah.
we'll probably lock them up.
Right. Right.
But by design, we wouldn't have people wanting to stay out there anyway.
Sure.
That wouldn't be appropriate. So it should work in the same. Open them up very early in the spring and then very late in the fall.
Open for the season.
Open for the season.
Open
Yeah.
season.
Yeah, that should be how
I really hope they're taking care. I mean, I hope that people because what a blessing for us. And I
Well,
hope everybody
it is
does their best.
It is one of those. I think the more people drive, visit, stay, it becomes one of those things. I think the people who appreciate it and want it will help police it for us.
I'm hoping so.
I know that's a little bit of a tall order, but I do think the more people who embrace it, then
I agree.
It does get
I agree.
respected more.
Mhm. Yeah.
Eventually, because I'm not sure how big the growth is going to be for the end result, but eventually at the end of however many projects there are, at the end of it, will there be like a park ranger who's in charge of like making rounds and cleaning up and like almost security, but like just kind of managing the park?
And as we move further, so the actual campsites, I'm going to stop you just to give you a time frame. Those are still being constructed and how they need to be made and what's safe to back in and back out. And so I don't think we'll have all that done this season. And that's okay. It's still in the works, and to do it right, we may have to take through this season.
But again, everything takes time.
Everything
right?
takes time, and then so you're right, Holly. We'll need some sort of process, and if it's somebody who is, I don't want to say the word gatekeeper, but in essence, we'll have to figure out how we're going to monitor. And we do have park and rec staff now that are there, but that may change in job descriptions. That may change in how we stay out there and navigate this and reserving spots and how that works. I mean, today I'll tell you, I think we'll probably do reservations through City Hall in some fashion, but just to have a contact person, yes, we'll have to figure that out.
So right now is primitive camping. Eventually, will there be like electric only or full hookup? Like, will the campground progress to the full hookup part?
It's going to be a hybrid. Great question. And I say hybrid. So in conjunction with the bathhouse, we are constructing the wastewater drop facility. And so those who are leaving will have the opportunity to then exhaust their tanks and clean out those holding reservoirs of their own trailer in our facility there at the bathhouse. So to have a contained hookup there for their wastewater, no, but we'll have a site for them.
Okay.
The water, yes, we're going to then eventually get water hookups to those. So it'll be electrical and water, but the water may be a little longer,
Mhm.
but the electric would be sooner. And so, yeah, primitive is kind of a subjective term, I guess, in the
Mhm.
camping
Yeah.
world,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
depending on
Mhm.
how each park is set up. And so to tell you it'll be a full service spot, I don't know that it will get that far,
Mhm.
but I think you'll be able to
But-
do everything that you're asking.
Right, because at least because most of the places I've been camping, you have primitive, which there's nothing there
Okay.
except the land,
Okay.
and then you have what they call electric hookup, where you can have electricity to hook up things or whatever, and then you'd still have to go to like common water sources, and then you have the full hookup, which probably not, if it is, probably years down the road, but I like even just having the electric hookups.
Mhm.
Those are nice. Will it go all around the lake? Like, is there how will the campsites progress around the lake? I guess is what I'm asking.
I'm going to tell you, I don't think so. In the years down the road, if there's other buckets of money, by chance, that's going to be hard to do. So to give you an idea of how the property works, it is kind of an egg-shaped property with the lake obviously in the center of it.
Mm-hmm.
And so the outer perimeter does
Mhm.
have our Eagles Trace mountain bike trail.
Yeah.
That is a great asset.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, we
Mhm.
love that.
And so as you navigate, and those gentlemen who built that, they did a great job.
They did.
And then you navigate that, there's some pretty rough terrain there
Mhm.
on the south side of the property, and it's not accessible by vehicle.
Mm-hmm.
It's pretty wooded, pretty thick, and it has some ravines to it. And I don't know that ever be advantageous.
Right.
So,
But it's still an activity for campers to use.
and there's
when
that
they're-
activity,
Yeah.
yeah. So the ground's being used, you bet.
Right.
And so they're on the northern side is where we're doing all this.
Mhm.
And so that's going to be. I guess let's manage that first.
Yes.
And I
Sure.
think
I
take
told you I
small
was excited
steps.
about this project, so my brain's just going.
Yeah.
So what about in the future, a beach area?
Well, I will tell you that's not necessarily off the table. That's something else to navigate, and there are some requirements we would have to do to make it a defined beach.
Because
So,
the docks are beautiful.
Yeah.
The
Yeah.
docks are beautiful. I love that. And will the sorry, I
No.
just keep going like blah, blah, blah.
No,
that's fine, please.
No,
Fishing, will there be fish stocked in it to?
And that's an interesting debate, and we could come back tomorrow or Monday and have that fish debate. There are folks who like what's in there today, and then there's our folks who don't like what's in there today. So that's an interesting glass half full, glass half empty.
What's in there right now?
Well, I will tell you, I haven't cast a line for a while in that lake, but there are varying opinions on how much bluegill and red ear are still there.
Mhm.
I will tell you, it varies,
Mhm.
and DNR does monitor that. We
Mhm.
don't. DNR does monitor that, and they decide when it's time to stock.
Mhm.
I'm not a fish expert. I know there are some carp in there,
Mhm.
and so some say that's good, some say that's bad. I'm going to leave that debate for another day.
Yes.
But yes, the
it's so fishy.
oh my! So the fish stocking does happen. I can't tell you when
Right.
and that frequency
Okay.
without them getting involved.
Right.
But yeah, fishing opportunities are always there, and
Mhm.
people are there all the time
Yeah.
with boats.
Mhm.
And so
Kayaks. We
and
take a
thank
kayak.
you. And I want
yeah.
to, I want to add that kayak feature
Mhm.
is
We do that.
really nice.
Mhm.
And so getting out there on that kayak launch, it makes that tipping over almost impossible. Now I
Mhm.
could probably tip one even on the launch, but
I probably could too.
but it's pretty cool. It's almost a fail-proof way of getting in the water with your kayak. It's pretty nice, really
Yeah.
nice.
I'm just super excited about it because there is that lake has always been beautiful. That area has always been beautiful. There's so much more potential that I think you're tapping into that I just love because I do think it's underutilized.
Well, I feel like it's right here.
It is.
I mean,
right
how
here.
convenient.
Yeah.
If you want to go have your lunch there,
Yeah.
if you want to like take the family, and there's so many things. We use it for birthday parties.
Yes.
There's all kinds of things, opportunities out there.
Yeah.
And just to get out and walk and get out
Mhm.
and and it's beautiful.
Mhm.
It's absolutely stunning.
So I
So-
just love it that it's being built up and going to draw even more people. I just love it.
Utilize.
So thank you.
And I'm glad you saw that and recognize it. And that's key to that. And I will tell you, the more we do to promote outdoor activity, the better we are, and that does draw people to our community.
Mhm.
And it's self-serving, of course, for ourselves, but it also brings people here.
Sure.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Well, and gives another outlet to get those kids and adults unplugged.
Well, there's that.
You know.
That is true. Now and then it's blacktop, so it's really nice. It's
Yeah.
a nice drive.
Mhm.
It's very nice. Like as far as like roads,
Yeah.
the road's already laid there,
Yeah.
ready to go.
Yeah.
So I think there's so many great opportunities there. So
Mhm.
it just like you said, you got to take baby steps. It's still early. Early into it.
Just the
And-
bathhouse coming in alone,
Mhm.
it
Yeah.
makes a huge difference.
Oh yeah.
Even if no electric is ever laid, just if you just have the primitive camping, that bathhouse makes the difference.
Yeah.
I think so too, and I think it'll be a big win
Mhm.
and be utilized a lot. I really do.
I think so too. So when do you think the bathhouse will be done, or are we?
It should be done by May.
Oh wow.
Yeah, it
Okay.
should
That's
be.
amazing.
It's under roof, and so the mechanics are being installed now. And the inside fixtures. So
Mhm.
I think in a short amount of time.
Mhm.
I feel like we've had, Lake Celinda. We've all loved like Lake Celinda, but we've really not done it to its potential, what it could do.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And to have that, and it's. I think a lot of times we're looking for things to do on the weekends, vacations or spend
Yeah.
the night. This would be to me great opportunities.
Mhm.
Yeah.
That low hanging fruit is right here, and we should take advantage of it.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Have you had what's the response? I guess a lot of people are excited about it, like Holly.
I do believe.
I am
I do.
excited.
I'm excited too. I'm
gonna
not
put
that
Holly
good.
down as my first reservation.
Yeah,
She
Holly-
doesn't-
That's right.
She doesn't
Holly
know
will-
it yet, but
yeah.
no, I do.
Well, because when we go, we've done a lot of camping, especially when I was doing Girl Scouts. We did a lot
Oh
of
yeah.
camping,
Okay.
and we always had to go out of county to find our campsites. You know, and trust me, we've been to some great campsites that I absolutely love. But for a Girl Scout, it's nice also to have it locally.
Yeah.
You know,
Well, that would
and
be
to
great.
give back to the community.
Mhm.
You know.
Mhm.
I think parents would feel a lot at ease if the Girl Scout trip was right here. You know what I mean? You would have
Well,
your
because sometimes the moms don't want them going to different counties or different, which our girls, like we cross state lines going to some of our places.
Yeah.
we were a little extravagant, but a lot of them don't want to let them leave the county. They want them staying close in case that there's an emergency. I mean, yes, you have the leaders, you have an adult to child ratio, you have people specially trained in medical needs and all that stuff. You have all that, which is great. But sometimes those moms and dads, they want them closer in case something happens, they can get to them quickly.
Yeah, definitely.
So I think that's
I think
great.
it's fantastic. So it looks like to me that this is exciting to see how it develops and part of it. And so right now, are we allowed to even primitive?
No,
Camp?
yeah,
No?
nothing's
Nothing's not
official,
ready yet. So
nothing's-
don't.
Yeah, goodness. So park rules still apply. There's no
Spending the night.
no spending the night, no after dark admittance. So
Mhm.
right, those rules still apply.
Right. So I just want to reassure everyone on that.
Yeah.
It's not ready. Yeah. But it's nice to know what's coming down,
You
what
bet.
yeah.
So exciting.
Yeah, for sure. And then as far as the swimming right now, we're not
Not
no
allowed.
swimming.
Right.
Yeah.
Yes,
No
that is
swimming.
not. Yeah.
Yeah. Just kind of going over things right now.
Please, correct. Yeah. So
For
So that-
current looking and future looking.
there
Yeah,
it is. So
yeah.
today is status quo. Please, your boats, your kayaks, that's great. Your picnic lunch, go out there and use the shelter house for your
Mhm.
activities. Yeah, all that is still a
And the
go.
trail, use the
Yes,
trail.
Mhm.
Yeah.
mountain bike trail and the Veterans Trail both. Yes.
Those nice trails. But just but we'll have you back on when it gets open and
You
we'll
bet.
find out the grand opening. I think you should. I think the opening for the bathhouse should be. I think that ought to be,
I agree.
for everybody to know and for other, communities to know too, because a lot of times people are looking for things to do different. And
Well, and if you do a ribbon cutting, then you're going to bring the attention to it to more
Mhm.
people that may
Yeah.
not see it,
True.
yeah,
and it
True.
gives them an opportunity to either come out and physically see it, or if they can see it
know about it.
and know about it.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I
Well, I
think
think-
it'd be great.
One thing for for summer, if it will be nice in the fact of people are looking for like little vacations, and and right now things are tight,
Right. Right.
and this is, to me, for a family, this would be doable.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
What we got it. I know. Will there be like for cooking? Will there be like?
Well, there are a handful, and I don't.
Are we
recall
bringing
the
out a
number.
chef?
There,
Or-
well, yeah, there are a handful that the charcoal cookers still out there.
Yeah.
They're starting to age, and they
Will you
need.
be getting the fire rings for the primitive camping areas?
Well, that has been discussed, and we're going to have to carefully think about where those would go, because some of the sites are close enough to one another. But yes, I think that that's a discussion we can have.
Mhm.
I do.
Well, that's awesome.
Primitive cooking.
Primitive cooking.
I love that.
Bring out my cast iron steam pot. Let's go.
Let's go. Your skillet. You'll be doing bacon and eggs.
That's right.
So, Mayor, are you a camper?
I haven't for some time.
Okay.
I might again, but I have not for some time.
All right.
I tend to go to that.
Where they leave the light on?
Leave the light on.
That's me. That is me.
There's a thermostat on the wall.
Exactly. That's my camping
Yeah.
too. I know.
So,
But this sounds
I'm a
fun.
glam. I tend to be a little bit of a glamper too, though. So.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's great. No, I think it's fun and good. And what a great! I tell you what, we've hit a lot of marks this morning. A lot of great things going on in our city. So, thank you for all you do and the time. And I like to highlight that there's a lot that goes on behind the scenes that we don't see. And thank you for all that you do,
Yes.
Mayor. And I do know that your days are very busy. There a lot of stress, for all of us. Keeping up with all of us can be a lot for you, right?
there's days, but
There's
no.
days. But thank you for all you
Appreciate
do. And what a great mayor you are, for sure.
Appreciate that.
So,
Gosh.
all right, Holly, let's thank our sponsors this morning.
We'd like to thank Meadowview Healthcare, Walmart, Salem Crossing, Americans for Prosperity, Mama Roses, Fox Pearly Wealth Management, Dr. Black's Eye Associates, Dr. Mindy Gunn, Marshall Monuments, McAllister Lane Consulting, First Harrison Bank, Louisville Bats, and Schneck Hospital. Thank you to our wonderful sponsors.
All right, everyone, let's have the best Friday.